Hello there, my name is Apocalypse Hero, professional meal planner, and Don't Starve Together, and I'd like to apologize if I sound a little off. Apparently I'm sick. Back to the video. And are you tired of starving in a game about not starving? Well, I'll take you from a starving commie to a flourishing capitalist pig with the help of an infographic to show you the most efficient way of not starving in Don't Starve Together. First things first, how much food do you really need? Well, the average Wilson consumes 75 hunger points a day. That's equivalent to 6 cooked berries. Not a high milestone, all things considered, and realistically, you don't even need a crockpot if all you're trying to do is stay full. Just set up some bushes underground where they grow all year long. It takes about 30 per person, which you can supplement with other food sources like farming, foraging, fishing, or even hunting if you don't have enough berry bushes. I'm gonna get this out of the way now. I don't believe the crockpot is a good place for sanity restoration, since being insane is technically optimal anyways, and if you prefer to not be, you can eat cooked green caps, or cooked cactus flesh, or wear sanity restoring clothing like the tam o' shanter. While on the other hand, most crockpot dishes that restore sanity deprive you of more optimal healing or hunger satiating options. Keep in mind that pretty much all crockpot recipes have a baseline 5 sanity restoration regardless. And the real uses of the crockpot are thricefold. First off, they can increase the spoilage time of food. Second off, they're an excellent source of healing. And finally, and most important, they can make food out of normally unviable things. A good habit to avoid is putting too many edible things inside of your dishes. The quality of the food you put in does not affect the outcome, so the cheaper you can cook your dishes, the better. That means for the most part, don't put in berries, carrots, blue caps, or anything else filling or helpful in your meals unless the returns are either really good or it converts it to a stat you'd prefer. And a lot of recipes require vegetables. The best vegetables to put in your dishes are lichen, which is amassed underground, red caps, which can be found everywhere and are otherwise poisonous, and green caps and cactus if you don't want the sanity restoration from cooking them, and also kelp, which can be farmed at sea. You can take it from the beaches of the Lunar or Hermit Islands. Also keep in mind though that kelp is only a half vegetable, so that means anything that requires a whole vegetable will require you to put in at least one kelp in one of the filler slots. I will note this as necessary. Some other good fillers, if the recipe allows, are sticks, since you normally can't eat those anyways, and ice, which can be easily amassed in winter and is a universal filler. Anywhere you can put in ice, I'll have a grayed out backdrop in the ingredients. Keep in mind not all food should go in the crockpot. Some foods, in most cases, are best to just cook and eat, or in other cases, eat raw. These will be listed down here. And for kelp and regular meat, if you don't feel like putting them in the crockpot, you can put them on a drying rack, netting you healing, food, and sanity restoration, all with a low spoilage time. Now this infographic isn't going to have every recipe. We are going to try to keep things optimal here. Recipes may be excluded for a plethora of reasons. Sorry if your favorite does not meet the requirements I may or may not have arbitrarily set. Here are the rules. Low returns. Some recipes will be excluded since they do not give a big enough return for the ingredients they require. Better alternatives. Others won't make the cut since their ingredients are better served with other things on the list. Too niche. Some foods didn't make the cut because they require foodstuffs that are too rare to warrant one of the limited slots. And finally, too stupid. These are excluded because, obviously no, they're not going on the list. That leaves us with 18 pristine dishes to satiate our developed palates, divided into 4 totally logical and well thought through sections. Let's begin with the foraging section. Butter muffins are an easy upgrade to butterfly wings, typically made with 3 red caps early game or 3 kelp late game. Next are flower salads. They're a great source of healing, but only available during summer when cactus bloom. You can make 1 flower salad per 2 cactus harvested if you use the meat and the flower from both, or if you demand efficiency, you can use the flower with 3 kelp. Now for the farming section. If you take the banana plants from the moonquay, you can make banana daiquiris, which are a great source of healing, and while not literally requiring 3 ice, it might as well, so I've listed it as so. Next, once you've captured a leafy bulb, and dethorned it however you prefer, you can harvest its leafy meat and combine it with 3 red caps or lichen for a scrumptious meal of beefy greens. Or you can set out to sea and ram your boat into a large fig tree and take its sapling. After fertilizing it with Glommer's goop, you can grow your own figs, combine with whole vegetables and usually 2 kelp to make a filling dish. Next are optimal crop farming plots. I recommend 4 toma roots and 4 potatoes in fall and spring, or in spring and summer, plots with 6 tome roots and 3 dragon fruits are what I consider optimal self-sufficient farming, where you do not need to worry about the nutrients, just watering and singing to the plants. Recipes are contingent on something outside of these rotations will be excluded, leaving only really one dish. The Dragonpie, feeding you for a day and healing quite a bit. The rest of the plants on my recommended rotation are best to just cook over a campfire and eat. Now for the fishing section. If you need some healing, you can go to a pond and fish out 2 fish morsels and add a stick to make fish sticks. This will net you half a day of food and some good healing. Or you can go to the ocean where you'll be able to find seaweeds which can be harvested at night with a razor or killed and brought closer to your base if you have near rocks, netting you a healthy supply of barnacles. They can be combined with a kelp, an egg, and a filler to make Barnacle Nigiri for the same stats as fish sticks, or if you don't have enough eggs for whatever reason, Barnacle Pita is a light alternative. And finally, for the fishing section, you can go to Wobster dens at dusk or night and fish them out. Add some ice and maybe some sticks to make a great source of healing. Now for the honey section. You can destroy natural beehives and make your own for easy harvesting of all that honey. And this honey can be eaten raw or combined with 2 meat, usually one of which is a monster meat, to make a day's worth of calories and some healing with honey ham. Or, if you only have 1 monster meat, or morsels, you can make honey nuggets by adding 1 honey and some filler for about half the stats of honey ham. And finally, time for the meat section. Wigfrid mains, this is what you've been waiting for, and wort players, please look away. And for optimal meat in any crockpot recipe, you can replace 1 meat with a monster meat, and another meat with a leafy meat. And for recipes with eggs, it matters not what meat made the egg. So if possible, try to make all your eggs with either monster meat or morsels. First up, meatballs, which are quite filling and easily accessible since they only require 1 meat, and that can either be a morsel or a monster meat, plus some filler. It cannot all be ice though if you're using morsels, because that would make bunny stew, which is not what we want. Or if you have 3 whole meats, or 2 whole meats and 2 morsels, you can make 2 whole days worth of calories by making Meaty Stew. Or with just 2 meats, you can make pierogi. Just give 1 to your pet bird for an egg, and add a vegetable or 2, and you have one of the best dishes in the game that can be made entirely out of monster meat. A nice surprise recipe is turkey dinner. While harvesting any berry bushes, you may get a random turkey spawn. If you combine its legs with at least half a meat and a berry or vegetable, you can get a day's worth of food. Or if you're willing to take on a bigger bird, you can try to steal the egg of a tall bird to make one of the best foods in the game, tall Scotch eggs. A meal worth 2 days of food and a ton of healing. And finally, the Froggle Bunwich. Honestly, I usually make these with 3 frog legs and a kelp, because frog legs spoil incredibly quickly, and frog rain will give you dozens of these things with minimal effort if you just take them to a mob or a group of mogs that can easily obliterate them. But outside of frog rain, they are an easy made food from a frog leg, and usually a red cap with 2 sticks. And finally, and most importantly, kill every wormwood main you see, because they're eating the team's food when they can photosynthesize. You're a plant! I know you can do